Awakening is not a one-time moment thing. It's a continuous unfolding of one's truth and one's identity.
In this episode of HERcast with Dr. Chito, we sit with Nse Ekpo-Ufot, author of Awakening, an international etiquette consultant, leadership coach, and women's empowerment advocate. She's also the founder of the High Value Woman Academy. Together, we explore what happens when a woman finally remembers her worth and decides to rise.
I think we lie to ourselves a lot. We pretend like everything is perfect. We're showing the world something else. Meanwhile, our insides are saying otherwise. Embarking on the journey of self-discovery requires you being aware of your situation, telling yourself the truth. If you do not bring out what is inside of you, there's no way you can elevate or get to the next level. And for women who are struggling to rediscover themselves, the first thing is,
if you could go back to your 18-year-old self now, right? What would you say to her about her identity, her dreams, and the things life must never take away from her?
Do you want to end up regretting your life when you're old?
Walk us through that moment of awakening for you. There comes a moment in a woman's life when everything shifts. The way she sees herself, the way she thinks, the way she chooses. That moment is the awakening. In this episode of HERcast with Dr. Chito, we sit with Nse Ekpo-Ufot, author of Awakening, an international etiquette consultant, leadership coach, and women's empowerment advocate. She's also the founder of the High Value Woman Academy and convener of the High Value Woman Conference that I was so privileged to attend. Together, we explore what happens when a woman finally remembers her worth and decides to rise. Welcome. I'm so excited about our conversation today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chito. Thank you for having me.
And I know this is going to be a very inspiring conversation.
Thank you very much for having me, Dr. Chito.
So I'm going to start with your book, right?
Okay.
The Awakening.
Okay.
Because this is centered on, I believe, self-discovery, becoming. What does awakening truly mean beyond the word? What really shifts inside a woman?
Awakening is not a one-time moment thing. It's a continuous unfolding of one's truth and one's identity. It happens when the shift happens when something happens in your life. And then you realize that I shouldn't be here. So it's not something that happens once in a while. People think that the awakening is something that just happens to you and then everything shifts. No, it's something that continues over time. Throughout that journey, the awakening is happening. Something profound always happens per time. And then that awakening comes to life. Yes.
I think that's amazing. Was there a defining moment in your life that where you realized I can no longer live this way? Walk us through that moment of awakening for you.
Okay.
I know it's a long journey, but I mean, just the highlights. I mean, just, because something inspired the book, something inspired the writing.
Okay.
And I know it's always life experience.
Yes, life experiences. I can share like 2 or 3.
Yes.
Because one of it is the moment I woke up. I was in the hospital and then I woke up and then I see my mom lying beside me. And I'm wondering what happened because the last time I checked, she was the one who tried to talk me into bed. And then there were drips all over her and there was blood from her nose. And I asked my sister, who was heavily pregnant at the time, I'm like, what's mom doing there? And she said, it's because of you. Mom couldn't take what was happening to you. At that point, I just realized I am the cause of what is happening to my mom. And over time, it's something that disturbed her for a while. And then she eventually passed on. I knew that something had to change. But that passing on, her passing further drowned me in what it was I was going through. And the next awakening moment was when my children came back from school and they saw that I was a mess. Like from her passing, I couldn't function anymore. And they said to me, Mommy, do you want to leave us like how grandma left you? That broke me. And then something shifted again. And before then again, or in between that time, I was placed on medication. And then I felt like because the medication was, healing or taking care of whatever it was I was going through, and then the medication stopped coming. And then that was when I also realized you need to take care of your mental health. You need to take care of yourself, because this medication was just to suppress what it was I was going through. So that was another moment of me realizing, no, you cannot continue going on like this. You need to take back everything that you have been deprived of and then live for your children. Because I didn't want them to grow up thinking that my way of life was normal. I didn't want them to keep seeing me surviving and performing and thinking that it was right. So I had to do something about it. Yes.
Just what you said resonates. There's this movie I watched by Funke Akindele, I believe, Behind the Scenes. And I'm not promoting the movie, but it was one of those, but it was it was one of those movies where you watch and you come out with something powerful. When I watched, there was something about that movie. One thing that really got me was when you give yourself, when you go through all this pain, because there are different reasons for people. I call it trauma. And when you go through all this, at the end of the day, and this is why we talk about boundaries, which you can talk about when we talk about friendship. At the end of the day, the person or people that will suffer the most when anything happens to you are your children. You lost your mom, and I've lost my mom. Nobody cried like the children did. Nobody felt it or the emptiness like the children did. And I think that reminder there sometimes as a mother is so important. And so instead of struggling to stay in or with something or with somebody or with whatever it is, you fight for air for that sake of the fact that, no, I got to live for myself and I have my kids. And they don't need to suffer.
They don't need to suffer.
They don't need to suffer.
Yes.
And I just, when you just said that, it resonated with me. So I had to just share. Now, in this book, you said your mentor advised you that about where's your 18-year-old? Go back to your 18-year-old self.
Yes.
However, I went back to my 18-year-old self. The room will not contain me. Yeah, because you reflected on your younger self. If you could go back to your 18-year-old self now, right? What would you say to her about her identity, her dreams, and the things life must never take away from her? And how can women reconnect with that version of themselves that life or pain may have silenced?
So I had this mentor who I was speaking with, and, he asked me all the questions. And when he was done, he said, you know what, you need to go back to your 18-year-old self. At the time, I was wondering what that meant. But, when I began this journey, I remember what he said to me in 2020, actually. And then I'm like, this is what this means. When I was younger, I had a lot of dreams. I wanted to be, I can't even list all the things I wanted to be. I wanted to be a broadcaster. I wanted to be a newscaster. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to model. I wanted to, have NGOs. I had so many dreams because I felt I had so much to give.
Yes.
But at some point, that dream was cut short. And so when he told me to go back to my 18-year-old self, I went back. I went inwards. I started doing the inner work. Like, what was she like? She was happy. She was joyful. And at this point, I am none of these things. She was happy. She was joyful. She was ambitious. She was, she was all of the things that she wanted to be. But life took a different turn. So that was what I said to myself. You know what? You're going to start. And then I remember there was a particular name my grandfather called me. The name made me feel on top of the world. It just meant I was unique and I was special. So I went back to answering that name, for those who are close to me. I took back that name first of all. And then I started trying to do the things that I had always wanted to do. I had someone say to me, do you want to end up regretting your life when you're old? And I said, no, everything I've always wanted to do, I will find a way to do them. So the things I'm doing now are things I always wanted to do. I just go back and ask God for guidance. Is this the right time? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing now? What am I supposed,
Spirit lead me.
Yes. Yes. And then that has really helped me on this journey. And then I'm happier. So I have really gone back to my 18-year-old self, though my age is saying otherwise. But the mindset,
you're still looking good. It's good.
Yeah, thank you. The mindset I had,
yes,
at 18 is what I have right now. And it's helping me to achieve all my dreams. There are so many things to come, but we'll take them one step at a time. And for women who are struggling to rediscover themselves, the first thing is awareness. You must be aware of your situation and be honest with yourself about it. Like, I think we lie to ourselves a lot. We pretend like everything is perfect. We are showing the world something else. Meanwhile, our insides are saying otherwise. So embarking on the journey of self-discovery requires you being aware of your situation, telling yourself the truth. If you do not bring out what is inside of you, there's no way you can elevate or get to the next level. So those were the things I held on to. I was honest about every question, every answer to the questions I asked myself, and that helped take me to the next level. So I believe that every woman who wants to take on this journey, who is intentional about her growth, should begin with self-awareness. Look inwards. Who am I?
Yes.
What are my values? What are my boundaries? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And then from there, you answer them genuinely, honestly, authentically, and then everything is going to shift.
I think this is amazingly powerful. I think when you think about that, also for some women, when we are looking back at our 18-year-old versions of what you just highlighted, that's where you derive the excitement and the love for adventure, because that's the whole idea, where you think you can do and be. And one thing that Priscilla said once that really caught me is that the only thing we're certain of is our birthday. Nobody knows when they're leaving Earth. The only thing we're certain of is the day we're born. And so therefore, for people, when I hear people say things like, I feel like I'm too old already, it's too late for me to do that, I say, why? Why not look at it that this is the best timing for you? That you couldn't have done this any better than now. But going back to your 18-year-old selves is coming back to the mindset that you can be and do whatever you want to do. At that age, you're dreaming, nothing is limiting you. I mean, you're jumping, your energy. And I think that's where women should come to.
Something Moabudu used to say on her show when she first started, if you can think it, you can do it. At the time I was hearing it, I didn't understand what she meant. But when I started this journey, it came back to me. As long as I can think of whatever it is I want to do, I will do it. So that also helped me. Yes.
I mean, that's awesome. Now, the book again, this book, this book is amazing. It's like, I'm telling you, it's like, I was telling her, my pencil is all over the book. It's underline. You should do an audio version.
I will.
Someone needs to listen to this as you're you just put your earphones and, especially the power the statements and,
reflections.
And one thing so coming to this question now, one thing that stood out to me about the book Awakening is that it's not just a book. You just read and move on from, right? It is a guide, like I said, with the power statements, the reflection prompts, and integration exercises, that questions you have to answer to yourself. It kind of walks you through healing, self-discovery, and rebuilding. What inspired you to write it this way, not just as your story, because your story would be a very interesting read from what I'm just talking to you, want an inspirational read on its own, but as a transformational guide for other women.
Like I said earlier when we were talking, I said that this was inspired by the Holy Spirit. And when it came to me to start writing, I'm like, what am I writing about? I couldn't remember many things. And as I prayed through it, everything started coming back. And then I'm like, who's going to read this book? Why are they going to read this book? How am I going to help them? And I just kept hearing, there are a lot of women in your shoes or who went through what you went through or are going through what you went through. And they don't just want to hear the story. They want to also know how they can come out of it. So because I had gone on my journey, for about 2 years, just taking my time to grow, to build, these were the questions I was asking myself, these were the affirmations I was saying to myself to build my self-confidence, to live in alignment with my values. These were the things I was doing. So I just didn't want to tell the story of my pain, my struggle, and my, reign, and not tell them how they could apply it to their own lives.
Yes.
So that's why we have all of those extras in it. It wasn't necessary. Some people say it wasn't necessary, but I think that we shouldn't just be told what to do. We should be guided on how to go about it. Yes. So that was what inspired me adding the extras, so that any woman who is intentional about her journey will take the time, isolate, and then find purpose or be clear about what it is exactly that she wants for her life.
Because this is a great book to go on a retreat with.
Exactly.
That's just what I'm going to read one of the power statements that got me. I am not broken. I am becoming. I return to the version of me that once dreamed, and I build from her strength. I am the answer to my mother's prayers. I'm the woman she saw in her spirit before I could ever see her in the mirror. And then I love your mirror moments that every woman should do. It says, stand before a mirror, look directly into your own eyes and say aloud, I see you. I hear you. I will not abandon you again.
Never.
See, this is a powerful book. Like, I don't get excited about much. So when I get excited, just go with me on this journey. I know, a very powerful book. Now we're going to the next chapter that I liked, that's titled The Collapse.
Okay.
The battle no one saw.
Nobody sees it.
And in that chapter 3, you talk about the collapse. Those moments when the soul collapses so the woman can live, and how the most dangerous battles are the ones fought in the mind where no one can see, right? Can you take us into that space? What does it mean? What does collapse really look like? And why are the battles of the mind so dangerous and often misunderstood?
We go through so much, and just because we're performing and trying to just do everything for everyone and not even pay attention to ourselves, there comes a time when we will break down, when everything would overwhelm us. And that was what happened to me. I was just trying to be everything, especially when my mom passed on. If you've read all the way down, there was a part I said, some people blamed me for it because she took on so much for me. So after her passing, can
I just say that you're not to blame though?
Now I know that.
Okay. Now I just want to make sure that you're not to blame at all.
Yes. But at that time, I felt like it was all my fault. So I started taking on more than I should have. I felt like, okay, I took away my mom from so many other people. I needed to be there for them. I was checking in on everybody. I did everything my mom. Everybody kept saying, oh, you're going to fit into her shoes. So I kept performing. I kept struggling. Then when I get back home, I'm weak. I am a mess. My whole mind is all over the place. I'm crying. I'm looking for help. I can't even tell anyone because everybody's assuming that I am strong. I can do it. And I will come out the next day. I'm like, okay, she's going on strong. But I go back home and that was the point. Maybe my kids came home and said, no, mommy, you can't do this. Are you going to leave us? Because they came and then they saw me. They saw me in those moments and I had to change that. So that collapse is when the weight of the world is upon you.
Yes.
And because you've been performing and, smiling and just carrying on, functioning, when it comes upon you, you'll really go away. And I didn't even know it was leading into something else. So that collapse wasn't just, I'm tired. It had affected everything. My emotional state, my mental state,
even your physical.
Yes, my physical, yes. My whole self-care system had crashed just because of the weight I was carrying that nobody saw, and I was pretending everything is fine. I'm always trying to smile. Like then I had fake smiles, but now my smiles are genuine because it's coming from inside. I've done a lot of work on myself, still working though, but it's different now. So if that also leads you into, setting boundaries for yourself. Yes. So that was what this journey helped me do. I cannot be everything for everybody. I have to take care of myself first, because I cannot give of what I don't have. I didn't have anything. I didn't have joy. I didn't have peace. I just had.
So you're pouring from empty.
Yes, I was pouring from empty. And then it wasn't good at all. It wasn't good at all. So I just had to sit back and check on myself and then started this journey. And it's been amazing. The thing about the awakening is once you experience it, there's no going back. Once you step into it, once you see it, you don't want to unsee it.
Yes.
That's the beauty of the awakening.
That's very, very true. And you know, I'm also liking this part. When I read it, something else that came to my heart was how the way you, when people see you and perceive you now, right? I know they want to be like you, but they don't know your scars. I remember when I went to speak somewhere, I guess it was I must have given some inspirational speech, or I said some things, and a young person came to me after and said, "Oh, can you mentor me? I want to be like you." And I smiled, and especially in this social media era, right? I smiled. I said, can you carry my scars?
Can you carry my scars?
Can you carry my scars? You know, that where I spoke from came from places where I left my scars, my journey. You've had a lot of blessings in your life, because I look at my kids like one of the best, greatest gifts God has given me. You had a lot of blessings, you have a lot of wins, but there's some things that you've gone through, some storms you've gone through that left scars. And out of those scars has come the inspiration that you think I am. But when you say you don't want to be like me, be like you. Find you in your journey. You know, and I say this a lot to my kids because of this social media where when people are looking at this person is carrying this, this person is doing this. Be you.
Be yourself.
Be you.
It's kind of hard.
That's the first boundary to set. Is in yourself.
Yes. So if you really want to do the work, this journey, it's having the courage to confront yourself and tell yourself the truth regardless. And once you start, you just start saying that a lot of things are not necessary anymore. So I get that as well. I want to, especially now, you know, these days, I want to be like you. I want to be like you. And I'm like, be like yourself.
Be like yourself.
You need to go through your processes, and so that you can just become from there and then be able to tell your story the way it is. I also didn't want to write this book from other people's lived experiences, because, you know, when we have motivational speakers, everybody's speaking from what they heard from other people or teaching from what they have been taught already. I actually wanted my story. I wanted people to see themselves in my story. I wanted it to be real. I wanted it to be like an experience, like, oh, I have been through this. So every chapter of my book, every one who reads it would identify with something.
Yes, definitely.
So that if you remember,
I'm already identifying chapter to chapter. I said something. I'm like something or many things. Mine is like really. Oh yes. Like I'm very identifying chapters,
because these are the seasons that women go through. We don't talk about.
Yes.
Everybody is performing and pretending. Everything is okay. But this is what is happening. So you will see yourself and tell yourself the truth when you get to that point that, oh no, I experienced this. Oh, this is it. This is it. And then it will help you to start from somewhere.
You know, I saw when I formed in the fire. I love that title. Formed in the fire. It's a powerful title. Just give me a summary of what you felt. What inspired this chapter in a way. Formed in the fire.
I had just gotten married, and of course, everybody wants a baby immediately.
Yes.
So it took like 3 years before my daughter came, and then there were still complications and all of that. But in those 3 years, I wasn't myself because I was judged. I was condemned. A lot of things. If you read the book, you'll read everything about it. But there was so much going on with me. And then the miscarriages started happening.
Wow.
And then my baby came, and then she was preterm. And I'm like, Lord, you're going to lose me if you don't do something about this. All the labels, I was just totally condemned for not having a baby on time and not being able to carry a child because of the miscarriages I had. So much was said, and through it all, I just kept hearing God's voice, like, I'm with you, you're not barren, and it was such a struggle. So these are still part of the things I say that we go through and we can't talk about.
Yes.
This internal struggles with ourselves, you start to, all the negative things, you start to believe all the things that were said about you. So that is the fire I'm talking about. I was formed in that fire. It was a lot, but I was still struggling and trying to, but God was with me through it all.
Yes.
And then it's one of my favorite chapters because I read it and then I actually remember how everything happened and how that has shaped me even till now. So I'm able to encourage women who are waiting, who are trusting.
Yes.
But yes, that's a
Which is a very emotional journey.
Every chapter would resonate with somebody because these are things we do not talk about. Everybody is pretending that everything is okay, but we need to talk about these things so that women can actually heal and move on to the next levels of their life.
Okay, your power statement says, one of those, like I said, I refuse to be ashamed of my scars. I am not what happened to me.
Oh my God.
I am who I became in spite of it. How does a woman move from brokenness, numbness, because we always have that numbness, and even shame into a place of wholeness where she can now reclaim her identity and walk in purpose? And that numbness is for real.
I would want to talk about God here. I always say that this journey, if God wasn't with me, I wouldn't have been able to get here. I wanted to be better. I tried every other thing to try to get better. I did all sorts of things in different, aspects of my life. I tried. And then one day I heard that voice that said, have you come to me? Have you come to me? Have you prayed? Have you come to me like with all of you? So now I'm trying to I'm thinking, okay, but I was still failing at it until I included God in my journey. God is a huge part, or is everything on this journey, until I included him, and then he made it easier. People will say things like, oh no, they're going religious now, or it's church, or it's that. But I'm not. The woman I've become today, I am so proud to talk about God, because if he didn't step in, I would have been broken too, without repair, beyond repair. So God was in this journey. I would say that anybody who is intentional about a change or becoming, or, getting out of what it is, she should go to God in prayer. We want to do everything in this world outside of God. Some people still succeed, but in matters of the heart
and
healing, pain, trauma, shame, it's only God that can actually lift that.
Yes.
So I'm not ashamed. Before I used to be, especially when a relationship ended, I was ashamed. I felt like I should be hiding everywhere. But God says, that's not who you are.
That's not who I created.
That's not who I created.
Yes.
You are this, you are that. He said all the beautiful things to me. And then the shame started to drop one after the other. So there's a statement I usually say, I may not say it here today, but I say it intentionally, that nobody's going to make me feel less of myself because of my scars or my shame. And then telling my story is actually, so what else do you want to say?
Yes.
What do you want to accuse me of? What do you want to do about it? I have said it all out there, because there have been a lot of, okay, what's good, what happened and all that. So not that it matters, but I'm like, there's nothing to be ashamed of anymore. I know who I am. I am not what I used to be. I am who I say I am, and who God says I am.
Yes.
So that helps. This journey also helps boost your confidence, makes you feel like you're onto something big.
Yes.
And if you can see it, you believe it, you can arrive at that destination.
Amen. That's true. Now let's talk about friendship, family, and discernment. Very important when you're going through a journey. One of the hardest parts of painful seasons is how the people around us respond. How does a woman discern who truly belongs in her circle, especially during crisis or emotional struggle? And how do we come to terms with the reality that some people are only for a season, while having the courage to set boundaries, even with family, when their presence literally deepens the wound instead of supporting or healing?
So like I said, the first thing is that awareness first, which leads to honesty. On this journey, this is a very lonely journey. If you really desire a change, it is so lonely. I didn't expect it. So many times I wanted to break down and just, I don't have to do this, but I knew what I wanted to achieve at the end of the day. So when it comes to setting boundaries with family members. It's so hard, especially if you people have a lot in common. It is so hard. It is really, really difficult. But in my chapter 3, when I had my moment and I was on medication, I thought I was feeling better. I thought, okay, everything was over. When the med stopped, I went back to the same environment that was hurting me or that was affecting me. And then everything came back again. And that was when I also said, no, something is not right here. I was feeling better, but I realized it was the medication I was taking. And then I realized that the environment that I was in wasn't helping me to become better. I had to move away from that. It was such a difficult decision to make. But I have realized now, no regrets whatsoever, that if I didn't make that move, I would have gotten worse and there would have been no change. So there's some decisions that are so difficult to make. It's not easy to make those decisions, especially with family members. If it's friends, you can actually do without them. But I also lost a lot of friendships, and not from bitterness, but it was because of my place of awareness now. All the things I usually took, all the subtle shades of stuff that, you will notice and not make a big deal about. This journey opens your eyes to them, and you actually see who is for you and who is not for you, who is supporting you and who is not, who is just there to just, make things worse. You see everything on this journey of self-discovery. It just opens your eyes to a lot of things. And that's where making the right choices and decisions, that's just like the foundation for you. Like, should I go with it? Should I manage it? You ask yourself. Oh, that's why I said honest questions and honest answers on this journey. So you decide, if I continue with this relationship or this friendship, is it going to take me where I want to go? Once you see the picture of where you want to find yourself, are these people necessary for that journey? Are they going to pull me down? Are they going to encourage me? So sometimes it's a bit tricky. You're like, this person, no, it shouldn't be. I mean, I've had to cry over friendships, like genuinely cry and say, God, this is, can I live without these people or this person or something? And then I find out that I'm doing well. Yes. Even better. Not because we're enemies or from bitterness or anything. Another thing this journey does for you, you have to be someone that forgives. Forgiveness. So first you're forgiving yourself so that you can forgive other people. So if you're able to do that. I was remembering that Igbo quote that we during dinner. Yes. Oh yes, that's true. If you're holding someone down, the weight of forgiveness down, you too are held down. So when I also realized that too, I'm like, okay, I need to forgive myself for all the wrongs, all the mistakes, all the things I took, and also forgive them for not even knowing, not knowing what they were doing, but this is how it was affecting my growth. So it's a really lonely journey, but when you begin to enjoy. Like I said, once you start, you don't want to go back. So it's a lonely journey. You have to isolate so that clarity will come, a better understanding of your purpose and why you're here, what you're supposed to be doing. These are the things. You need to just decide who is going with me on this journey, who is supporting me. You watch everybody. You tell them certain things. You see who is joyful. You see who is reactive. Like, it's just a lot. It's just a lot to take in. Everything doesn't happen in one day. Yes. So all these friendships don't go away, or these relationships don't go away in one day or in 1 month. Over time, I can even still tell you that it's still happening now, but I'm more conscious of it. Yes. So these are the things to pay attention to. So our final question, I wish we can talk about this book for hours. The one that we're going to have like a little retreat and we're going to talk about it. Great. Now, because this is going to be about becoming, stepping into her reign, I call it. For the one watching right now, right, who feels lost, unsure, or weighed down by her past, what is the one truth you want her to hold on to as she begins her journey of awakening and steps into her reign? I'll still go back again to saying that this journey is not a one-time moment thing. It's a continuous unfolding of the truth of who you are and who you're becoming. Be patient with yourself. Don't be in a hurry to be awakened or to become. There's no hurry. When you hurry into something, I tell my children, if you hurry into your future, when you get to your future, or when you use up everything that's meant for your future, when you get to the future, what's there to be what's left for you. So I believe in step by step growth, taking your time, being patient with yourself, understanding who you are, what you represent, knowing what your values are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. This is the awareness. You need to know yourself to this point so that you're able to take the next step. There's nothing and there's no one who cannot rise from what they have been through. If you are determined and if you surround yourself with the right set of people and if you see a picture of where you're going to, everybody is permitted to grow and become. So the awakening journey led to my brand, or the brand name, the High Value Woman. And I would say that the High Value Woman is a lot of things. First of all, people would think that a high value woman, or a woman should be a certain way. She has her ways set. She's perfect. Everything is going on well for her. That's not what it's about. That's not what this journey is about. This journey is also trying to reveal to you that I have been broken, but I can still become. I have fallen, but I can still rise. I have been ashamed, but I can still find joy. And, so it's always the opposite and the other end. Don't just see yourself where you are, believe that you can rise up from that ashes. Believe that even if you go through that fire, you will not be burnt. Even if you were burnt, there are ways to just clean up and actually become that which you want to become. So it's patience. I'll say forgive yourself, be patient, truly, and be genuine and be honest about why you want to embark on this journey. If you really need the growth, if you really need the healing, if you really need to become that person who you believe you were meant to be.
Awesome. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful conversation. If something in you stirred while watching this, and I know something must have stirred, if something you felt seen, challenged, or awakened, then this is your reminder. You are not lost. You are becoming. Your voice matters. Your growth matters. Your life matters. And if you're ready to go deeper into this journey of becoming, her book, Nse's book, Awakening, is a powerful guide that walks you through self-discovery, purpose, and what it truly means to step fully into your power as a woman. A special thank you to Nse for sharing her voice, her journey, and her truth so powerfully with us, because the truth is simple. Once a woman awakens, she can never go back. Watch our full episode on YouTube, HERcast with Dr. Chito. Catch us on Rapid TV StarTimes, channel 176, Saturdays at 7 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m. Listen on all your favorite podcast platforms. Follow us at HERcast Podcast and at Dr. Chito N. For more inspiring stories, her reign has begun. Thank you guys. Till next time.